So can Europe solve its debt crisis before unrest turns into revolt in peripheral economies? That's what I'm talking about today with Reuters Breakingviews editor Hugo Dixon, just returned from Paris. Hugo, good to see you.
Yes.
It's a race against time, you say. I mean, it's been a race against time for a while now. Are we just realising that now?
No, it's just that I think what I wanted to focus on is that there's a little bit of the return of the jitters. And after this huge Europhoria following the Draghi's do whatever it takes statement in the early summer, and then the more details on that programme came out, we are now seeing these demonstrations, another rash of these demonstrations, Greece, Portugal, Spain, and indeed Paris yesterday.
So how long have we got, and how long can we draw this out? Because we're not really talking about a solution in sight anytime soon here.
Well, I think that really, one of the things that I think you have to look at is what are the fundamental problems? I mean, just to recap, two basic problems: too much debt, and high deficits that come with that, and too much of inadequate competitiveness and the high current account deficits that come with that. Now, if you actually look at the peripheral economies, you actually see that Spain, and particularly Ireland, have made a lot of progress on restoring their competitiveness. So that sort of problem is, Ireland, it's basically done. And Spain, they will be back into a current account. They actually had 1 month of current account surplus I think it was announced at the end of last week. So they are, but that's sort of a blip. But say for next year, it looks like they're going to be on track. So you've got an improvement there. The problem with Greece, obviously, is it's still. Even Greece is making progress. They're all making progress.
But the problem is surely whether they can keep this reform, this austerity, these changes up long enough to make a permanent change.
Yes,
or whether they're going to be brought down in the meantime.
Yes, it looks to me. Ireland has pretty much done it. Okay. If you want, a big problem last month was the problem with the Portuguese, and they had this idea for what was actually, from a purely sort of technocratic perspective, a very sensible thing, which was to put up the social security contributions of employees and cut the social security contributions of employers.
And this is a fiscal devaluation.
This is so-called fiscal devaluation.
Didn't work in Portugal.
Well, it didn't work because, it might have worked, but it didn't work politically because it just blew up like a volcano.
Where has it worked?
Well, ironically, it's worked in Germany, but of course, in 2007, that was not what. You didn't need to make already competitive German economy super competitive just as you were heading into this crisis. So, and it may be working to a small extent in Spain, where they have done it a very limited. Fiscal devaluation, cutting these social security contributions, in their case putting up VAT, which is the more classic approach that's used.
Yeah. You talk about help from abroad, the main way of easing the pain of adjustment. Obviously you're talking about the ECB and the promises it's made, etc., etc. But how?
It's not just the ECB.
It's not just the ECB,
because it's also the other sovereign states that come into the picture, and even for the ECB to launch its OMT program, these outright monetary transactions. There has to be a program agreed with the Eurozone states. So they actually play a very important role as well as the ECB. How
confident are you? In fact, let me finish with this, because I always finish with this question with you, or I have done for the last few times we met. More confident or less confident than you were when we met, a month and a half ago?
It all depends which month you're referring back to. I would say that I am. I'm still moderately confident. I'm more glass half full than glass half empty that they'll get through this. However, I do think that you've got about. I would say they've got at least a year of reform where they have to stick through it. And then even after the reform, there'll still be a rotten economy for a couple of years after that. But it's the real period is the next, say, year to 18 months where they have to stay the course.
All right. We will no doubt revisit this. Hugo, thanks very much indeed. And probably a few governments on as well by the time we get there as well. Hugo Dixon, do check out our earlier Breakingviews show. We have more on Spain and a look at the latest twists and turns of the Glencore Xstrata deal as well. And our US Breakingviews show coming up at 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 GMT. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.